Oh, 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 hey, welcome back. Let's take a look at an Insta360 crash video. Oh, oh, oh. Did you see it bounce? Wow, terrible. Okay, well, you probably figured it out. That's me, and a couple weeks ago I did a video on the Insta360 and this product that I found on Amazon, which was supposed to help with takeoff and landing to avoid landing on the lens. And in that video, I kind of explained, some safe ways to do it, and thought it was a pretty cool method. And now what we've got is, I crashed it. First topic we're going to discuss is, how did the crash happen? What were the conditions that led to this just disaster, right? So a couple things. This was not a straightforward situation. I had the plan for this particular this particular job with this client is that I was trying to figure out how to do a routine path with a waypoint software with the Insta360 on it, with the idea that as time goes on, I can give a consistent kind of site tour for this client. I've done mapping missions before, but this was the first time I'd combined the Insta360 and the waypoint software. So the drone had finished its path, and it had started its auto home landing sequence. And I'll be honest with you, a thing I don't know about how to do, or how the Litchi software works, is how to stop the auto home. What's happening in this scene is that I am fighting against the auto home and trying to figure out how to prevent, I need time before it comes down on its own. I need time to get those legs down so that it can land on the legs, not on the lens. But the Litchi software doesn't really want to let you stop it from landing. So you can fight against it with the controls, but it always wants to come back down and land where it thinks it wants to land. And so what you're seeing in this video is I've got my thumb on the left-hand stick, and I'm fighting with the software to keep it up so I have enough time to bring the legs down. At some point in that tug of war with the software and me messing with the drone, I guess it lost stability, or maybe my hand shifted in some way. I'm not quite sure, but the drone, as you can see in the video, the drone kind of just careens right into me. Since I've never really been hit with a drone before, I wasn't quite sure, I'm not sure how bad those blades are really gonna hurt if I try to grab it. So I just kind of let it bounce off me. And I think I hoped that it would recover in midair, but it didn't, obviously. It went straight into the ground. So that's a good lesson to learn. I don't blame that on the Litchi software. Obviously, I need to figure out how to stop the auto home return feature, and I still don't know how to do that, by the way. So that combination really is my fault. Next up, let's talk about the actual damage to the camera, and I'll put a picture up on the screen here that'll show a picture I took of what the lens looked like after the crash. Now, I was very careful when I picked it up to try to not make it any worse, right? My hope when I first picked it up was, is this salvageable? Can I just clean it off and maybe keep using it? And so I was very gentle with the outside of the lens. So the picture that you're seeing, that's not me making it worse by trying to clean it. That is how it looked once I picked it up and kind of lightly, blew some air on it and kind of dusted the lens off. And you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe you won't notice that in the footage. I don't know that I have any footage that I can show you of what it looked like. I'll look for it and I'll add it to the video. But trust me, it was definitely noticeable. So that level of damage that you're seeing in that picture, that is a deal breaker. You will definitely notice it in your footage if you try to do this. There's no fix, right? The only fix is you've got to deal with returning it to Insta360 and get them to fix it. So that's a good transition. Let's now talk about what does that process look like. first, let's say you crashed your Insta360, similar to me, right? I had no clue where to start. I first thought, hey, their phone app seems to be pretty competent. Maybe I can go into that and I can find open a support ticket or open a return request. And surprisingly, I couldn't actually find anything on the app that helped me in that process. So I kind of stumbled onto the solution, which was I went to their website, and at some point a chat bot opened up, and I didn't think it was going to work. And I love to see these AI chat things fail. So I was like, cool, let's see if I can get some customer service through a chat bot. Surprisingly, it actually worked. I'm not sure that I can explain exactly the steps I went through, but basically I just typed in, that I had crashed my Insta360 Sphere, and what do I do about it, right? And surprisingly, it led me through the process. And pretty soon I had an RMA, I had an address, and I had a list of instructions. I did have to have an account on the Insta360 website, though, which is not a big deal. I think you need that in order to buy it. But in those instructions, basically was you're not supposed to send anything else but the camera unit, so no batteries, no memory cards, no nothing, just the camera by itself. You pay for shipping. For me, since I'm in the United States, it was going to be shipped to, I think, Irvine, California. So I paid for that. That took a couple days. So when this whole process started, it was February 12th. So that's when I had the RMA, I had everything packaged up, ready to go, and shipped it, was on the 12th. They received it on the 21st, and then they gave me a quote the same day on how much it was going to cost to fix, which was $112. That included shipping. And then they shipped it FedEx on the 23rd, and it was delivered on the 24th, right? I don't live in California, so whatever category of shipping they picked was pretty good because it got to me in one day. So that was nice. $112. So here's what showed up to me. It looked like a brand new Insta360. It had what looked like original packaging. It had a brand new battery. It had all the covers, and I don't think it was mine. In fact, I know for a fact it was not my Insta360 because it had a different serial number, and it just looked brand new. So overall, I would say that the customer service experience was pretty good. It was a little confusing that I didn't know how to even start the process, and since they want you to do a lot in their phone app, it kind of seems like there should be an easy way to get that process started there. And I don't know that anyone else would have thought to engage the chatbot to start the return process. I mean, like I said, I did it because I wanted to see it fail, which it didn't. But let's go to the next topic, which is what would I do differently, right? First off, I need to figure out how to disable the automatic return to home feature of Litchi if I want to keep doing that particular combination. So that's one thing. Number two, in hindsight, would it have been better to just let the drone land on the pad? Because I had a pad set up. Would it have just been better to let the drone land on the pad, on the lens, and sort of take my risks, right? And it maybe would have been better to do that, especially given that under those circumstances where I'm fighting the drone and the consequences are that there's a bunch of sharp rocks around, I probably should have just let it land on the pad, and this video probably wouldn't have been necessary if I had done that, right? So I guess for you who are watching, if you end up in a similar situation, I guess you might not have time to think. Like I didn't have a lot of time to think in that moment, and I was kind of nervous. But you might just want to take that chance of letting it land on the pad rather than trying to mess with those legs mid-flight. So let's transition then again to this topic of hand catching. So a couple people mentioned in the last video in the comments about hand catching, which I am familiar with hand catching. I've done it quite a few times with other drones that I've owned. I have not done it as much with the Air 2S. I decided to stop doing it, and the main reason that I've stopped doing hand catches is that I now pretty much exclusively use Cinesticks. And if you're not familiar with what that is, they're basically sticks that you add over the metal sticks on your controller, and they kind of slow you down so you can make these more cinematic, kind of slow transition shots. And one of the one of the issues when you do that is that some of the stick positioning control, like automated stick controls that you can do, end up not being an option. And it then becomes awkward, especially in cold weather if you have gloves on. It becomes awkward to interact with the screen to do a landing on your hand when you've got like gloves or whatever. It's awkward. Combine that with the fact that I didn't know how sensitive the lens was of the Insta360. So I didn't know if even touching it with my hand was really a good idea, right? Because where that lens is positioned, it's pretty much in the middle of the body, and it's going to land on your hand, the lens. And I wasn't quite sure if that was like, is that too much interference or touching to the lens that over time that's going to wear the lens down? I still don't have an answer for that question. It does seem that the lens is fairly robust, right? As long as you're not bouncing it on rocks. But I'm still a little bit nervous about just constantly touching, not constantly, but frequently touching that lens every time you hand catch it. And like I said, I'm going to continue using Cinesticks probably. And it's just not easy to perform a hand catch while going the menu route to do a landing in your hand. Well, that about covers it for today. I think everything I found interesting and that I think you might find interesting, I think we've discussed. If you have more questions, post them in the comments. I'll see what I can do. And with that, thanks for watching. Bye.